Good morning, everyone. Terrible transition. Trying to turn the music off at the same time. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. Every day we discuss all things to do with the modern market. This is the modern market, where we discuss the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Sometimes we mess up the transitions between segments too, because we feel like it sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to manage all the things that are going on. Loaded up for the discussion today, we have a lot of things going on and some curious different data points that I want to bring to people's attention today. We've got S&P 500 hitting all-time high, past 6,500 for the first time in history, but crypto is going down. Memes are going down. PCE inflation data is coming out later. Gold is pushing up again. So we want to talk about those variety of factors in just a little bit. We're going to talk CFTC soon, giving non-US exchanges a clear path to let Americans trade on their platforms. That was perceived as pretty huge news yesterday. We'll get into some of those details later. And then finally, we joked yesterday that the US Department of Commerce, the US government, was going to put the GDP on the blockchain, and they did. They started doing that. Brett's just going to share to what extent.
They did ish.
Okay, but they started doing real things on the blockchain. So we'll get into that, as well as talk as usual on price action on crypto and NFTs, plus a general discussion on where we think attention is flowing. I've got Brad in the co-host seat with me today. We are ready to get into it. Just a reminder before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice, because the market is very, very risky. It goes up and down, and we can never be certain. So please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment at all times. With that out of the way, Brad, it is Friday. It is the 29th of August. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Loving it. Doing good. It's Friday. You can't be sad on a Friday.
Can't be sad on a Friday. Have you been finding...
We say good weekend on Fridays. You don't say good morning, you say good weekend.
But it's not the weekend yet, Brad.
Yeah, but that's what you say. I learned that's what the Norwegians say, and therefore that's what I say because I live there.
Okay. And the thinking is the weekend's already started, or what's the thinking? We're living in the future now?
Yeah, bro, you're just looking forward to it. It's basically the weekend, cut off at 3 o'clock and go to your cabin in the woods.
I don't like it. I want to execute on my Friday, Brad. I can't think of what's going to happen tomorrow.
I can't help but have some of those vibes. They say you can't hear me on Spaces. Weird.
You sound a little bit quieter.
Do I?
Oh, yeah. You're on mute on Spaces for. No, you shouldn't be.
Yeah, I'm coming through the modern market.
The normal thing as usual. Who said that?
Yeah. Maybe if I switch this over, does that sound any different?
It shouldn't be anything on your side, to be honest. Just double checking. For guys on the Spaces, I'm coming through fine. Is it just Bread? Maybe Bread.
Frank Core said, can't hear Bread. B-Check sounds like he's coming from the bathroom.
That can't be right. Even on the audio. That's weird. Let's see.
Which means, does that mean it's coming from like just your device as opposed to like a switchboard or something?
Let me see. Let me try and connect this again. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we should be going to Spaces as completely usual. If people are having...
says YouTube is totally fine.
Okay. Oh, okay. It looks like everything's fine on YouTube. That's what we're getting. Just checking. Is everything fine on Spaces now? We're good. Okay. Funky saying we're good. Sounds good. Hopefully we're all good now. Apologies for a little bit of inconvenience there. Thanks, Ryan, as well, for letting us know. Appreciate it.
Homies in the chat were helping us out. I'm getting real-time feed from the community.
There we go. Just absolutely live feedback, live assessment, live research. We appreciate it a great deal. Thanks, Oxy, as well. Brett, before we get into the main stuff, I've seen you've been doing a little bit of live community chat in the Telegram as well during the show. How are you finding that? That sounds...
Yeah, we talked about that
because I can't do that. I've got like too many other public things to do, but I think you're getting in the mix there.
Yeah, I think when Ledge gets back, we'll be able to have like full force, can like really dice all this stuff up. But like, yeah, I would like that's the feed I'm watching. So like I got some feedback at the end of the last show. I think it was last show. You know, this is 4 this week, which is abnormal for me. No, this is only 3. I missed Monday. But like, yeah, getting feedback from people as I'm saying stuff so we can like have the actual discussion on the spaces. I like it a lot. It's like a faster feedback loop. It's so hard to track like YouTube comments, which is like, I would like to be able to access it through StreamYard, which is what we do this from. And then X just sucks, right? It's like not real time, which is annoying. So yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. I like the group. I like when they roast me to like make me expand on like the stuff that I think. Yeah, it's good.
Full permission to roast bread in the Telegram chat.
Yeah.
If you would like access to the Telegram chat only to roast bread, DM the Modern Market account. It's open for the specific purpose to roast bread. Meg, I have checked in here. I'm checking. I can't check the Telegram chat, so please don't tag me in the Telegram chat. Oh, actually, that was helpful. That was helpful because you're saying you can't hear. Appreciate it. Super helpful, guys. We are, you know, just as a reminder, we're running this community. We're building it out, having a lot of fun. Ideally, trying to create kind of a home house for all things crypto. We've got a bunch of channels in there where you can access different protocols we like, talk about different opportunities that we think are interesting immediately over the next few months, as usual. Kind of an extension of the conversation that takes place on the show each day. We're enjoying it a great deal. I've basically become a community manager mod last few days as it's sucking me in, but I'm having a lot of fun. So Ray, that's genius in the chat. Roast or toast, that's the name of the segment, Brad, where you're going to get roasted in the Telegram. What do you think of that?
I love it. Yeah, like I was just looking. I'm gonna get roasted too, by the way, which would toast me. Because like we were talking, everyone in the chat was talking about doing the Kaido to hype rotation the other day, and Hyperliquid's down 5%. Kaido's only down 2%, which means not the optimal time, but I still think it's the best long-term play. Sorry, guys.
There you go. Okay, well, we like that. Just wanted to put that out there as a reminder. If you do want to be a part of the community, as an extended part of the community. And we're going to get into the usual show today. But before we do, just want to remind people we're excited today to be sponsored by YEET. Today's show is sponsored by YEET, the crypto casino that has done hundreds of millions of volume in the few months. It's founded by trusted names like Mando, KBM, and pro poker player Ben Lamb were users of the site, legendary, famously known as Limbo GCR over there. So it's a very natural partnership for us. A reminder to only gamble for fun and what you're comfortable with. And to help there, we're giving away up to $750 each week randomly to players active under the Modern Market affiliate link. I'm going to put that underneath I'm going to put it in the YouTube comments, and I'm going to put it in. Well, I'm going to put it on Twitter in just a second, and I'll show you the board that's been tracking the various people active, and we're going to do that third giveaway at the end of the show today. So if you've been active under the link, you will be entered into that, and I'll explain how and why, because we said we were going to change some of the rules today, which we have done, and we're going to keep it random. We're not going to tell people in advance this is the specific way we're going to slice it up. We're going to keep it a little bit random. So I'll explain that a little bit later towards the end of the show. So stay tuned for the giveaway, and do check YEET out. They have a number of crypto themed games and a sportsbook coming soon. So stay tuned for that. Right. Before we get into, now we're going to get right into the price action as usual to get you up to speed with everything that you need to know for the day. We've got Bitcoin down a couple of percent to 109,000. We've got ETH down 5%, XRP down 4%, ETH back down to 4.3, XRP is down to 2.8, BNB is down 1% to 855, Solana is down only 2% to 207. Definitely outperforming out of all the majors on 7 days. Solana's up 13%, whereas Bitcoin is down 2%, ETH is flat, XRP is flat, BNB is flat. So Solana really outperforming in the last 7 days at least. And then you've got something like Hyperliquid, which is down 8% on the day, still up 5% on the week though, but back to 44. So a lot of the gains that people experienced, whether it's on Hyperliquid or anything else, has been cut into in the last 24 hours. And you got Sui down 5% as well, back down to $3.30. So a lot of red on the board, and we will talk about that versus the S&P, which is at all-time high and going past 6,500 for the first time in a bit. You've got gold pushing up as well, which I want to think about for a moment today. But before we do, getting into the meme coin side, everything is more or less single digit red, I would say, as a generalization. Doge is down 3, Pepe's down 3, Pengu's down 4, Bonk is down 3.
Look at Pump. Who we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, we did.
Standing out, showing strength. They're just like they're having big days again. They're crushing the meme coin arena.
Indeed. Pump up 5% on the day, 20% on the week. I think a little bit helped by Solana's outperformance as well. Like if Solana does well, seems like Pump does well. And it certainly doesn't hurt that they're going to buy back 99.3% of
periodically.
Or allocate 99.3% of revenue towards buybacks every now and again. So I think that's certainly helpful to the price action gives people some confidence to come in. Although, as we've said before, not like perfect confidence because Hyperliquid's buybacks are completely programmatic, whereas pumps are not. So good to see that. Going down the rest of the board, go on, Brad.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking tickers. As you started going down some of the majors, I was starting to do some research on my own end. Like, you just like cited the rotation a little bit, or like Solana showing some strength right now. Do you think the ETH DATs are feeling a little exhausted? Like, do you feel like we're in the middle of a rotation, or do you feel like it's kind of like I'm looking because like, the MNAVs have been compressing. Everyone's been talking about that again. MNAVs for people in the audience are the ratio between the stock price and the underlying asset price of each of these treasury companies. Like everyone's been talking about them compressing the last couple of days, weeks, which they are. And now everyone's like, we've got a discussion about the Solana DATs. It's like, are they fast rotating on top of us through all these fucking? Like they did the Bitcoin one. Now they're doing Ethereum. Now they're rotating into Sol. Sol's getting popular. Sol showing strength on chain a little bit.
I think there's a reasonable chance, man. I think there's a reasonable chance. Yeah. Like, in a way, are the DATs not replicating the traditional trajectories of rotations where you kind of go from Bitcoin into ETH and then down further down the risk curve, which is what would probably happen if they were not in the space, because that's typically what happens in previous cycles too. My thought is, if you look at the numbers, and I think we'd need to do a closer analysis of the numbers, but I mentioned yesterday 3 Solana DATs this week, one 400 mil raise, one 1 billion raise, and one 1.25. And I don't know if those were finalized, like concrete, done, but that was the intention. And so those are big numbers for sure. So those dollars that are going into those are certainly dollars that are not going to go into ETH. But should we just check the ETF inflows?
Just check ETF because like depending on your source for the MNAVs, I'm looking at it and Strategy and SBET are just hanging out over 1. So SBET's 1.01, MSTR is 1.36, and there's like 15 below 1. And then like I know MetaPlanet, which is the Japanese MSTR, basically. I found out yesterday that that's going to be artificially inflated because of some taxing laws in Japan, right? Where it's like crypto in Japan is taxed absurdly high. It's like 55% taxes on this shit. So people are using that as the MetaPlanet as an arb to get around that. Right, so they're just buying that at a premium. It's trading at like it was like over 2. It was such an outlandish gap, and that's just because they're getting around the taxes, so they can justify it.
Got it.
But all these other ones are compressing to 1 or even falling below 1, which shows like that the appetite on the traditional markets are a little exhausted, or like not seeing the results from these people managing their funds, whether it's staking or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So it looks how are ETFs doing? Okay, ETFs are slowing a little bit too.
Yeah, I'd say they're slowing a little bit too. And the thing I guess you would note is that ETH is still experiencing relative inflows higher than Bitcoin. ETH being the blue bars here and the orange bars being Bitcoin, of course. And if you look at a longer time frame, if you look at the year, which is what we've got up on the screen now, you can clearly see like orange dominating for long periods of time. And now in the last couple months, ETH really kind of pushing back. Although you would also say, I think it's too early to say like if the trend of increased inflows is reversing, because it's just been, there was 1 month or a period of time of like a bit of outflows here, and then it's just straight back to inflows, not as high as the blockbuster entry when ETH was when Bitmine and SharpLink were buying like crazy. I think it's too soon to say like it's completely exhausted. Would be my take from this data and just general sense. What do you think?
No, like and like I'm not a short-term trader, so like I'm not looking at anything for like, oh, I got to get out now because over the next 2 weeks it's going to be outflows and I anticipate inflows getting back in. I'm just trying to take mental note of like, just like, okay, what are the high level vibes of everyone? Like I know people are calling tops. I don't think it's tops, but like I do want to like try to stay rational and try to like keep my eye on these things. And that's something that's like bigger than us, right? We like, you always have to be aware of the next marginal buyer, right? Like who is the next person to buy your bags, right? If you're hoping for it to go up, and if like the global scale of next marginal buyer is like getting tired, like who's after that is what I'm trying to determine. So
that's a great question. I completely agree that is what people should be thinking about, and I do think that DATs will in the end play some role in the significant decline in price action at some point in time when that takes place. I don't know if they've raised enough money to warrant. I mean, we've been seeing, just thinking from the Bitcoin perspective, for example, huge sells going through on Hyperliquid, right? Like absolutely colossal amounts, and the price more or less being fine. Like, okay, we've been in that 110 to 120 range. It has dipped beneath that now as well. But like the amounts that's getting traded is significant and notable, and we seem to be able to absorb it at the moment. I think if the numbers continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and people are raising in an irresponsible way, without also creating net new buy pressure, which is what we were speaking about yesterday, about how the difference between some of the DATs, some of which are creating net new buy pressure, some of which are creating zero new buy pressure, that will impact some of this stuff too. And the reason why there's no net new buy pressure in some cases is because it's like all locked tokens going in, creating, making up the MNAV. So we'll keep an eye on those. I think it's good to point out again, but I wouldn't say, I mean, look, I think we've said for weeks already that it's the thing to keep an eye on. And then it's just like, okay, when does the knife start falling? And then when do you want to catch it? I think we will monitor for sure. Getting into the headlines, which we will be discussing shortly, we have S&P 500 hitting all-time high past 6,500 for the first time in history, while crypto majors are down. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about gold. We'll talk a little bit about PCE coming out later and fears around inflation. We've got the CFTC soon giving non-US exchanges a clear path to let Americans trade on their platforms. We'll discuss that too. A lot of people thinking that is very, very significant for someone like Binance, and some people concluding that would be very bad for Hyperliquid. We'll discuss that in a bit. And finally, as a headline today, US Department of Commerce does publish Q2 GDP on Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, and a couple of other chains. Brad will get into some of the technicalities there. Be intrigued to know how much that took place. Getting into the NFT side of things, let's just refresh so we can get the latest. Moonbird's down almost 10% to 2.8 ETH. Got Pudgy's chilling around 10 ETH. Bored Apes around 9.6. Lil Pudgy's down a couple of percent too. Sappy Seals up 28% to a 0.38 ETH floor. Very close connection to Monad. So I'm wondering whether
they're migrating over there.
They're migrating over there, and I wonder whether a bit of healthy price action is in connection to Monad. You know, you're getting towards the end of August now.
Wab's been bull posting them. Wab's the founder of it, and like he had mentioned that there was one guy who was like a giggle whale of Sappy who's been dumping for a long time, and he finally just sold all of them out. So this might just be a little bit of a relief pump from getting that person out. And then he's just like, yeah, talking about Somnia and saying that, or Omnia is the game, and he made an explicit post to say that he wants to be crypto forward with the game. Initially, like they've been doing a lot of stuff for Telegram, a lot of stuff on Roblox. Like they're kind of going a similar route to Pudgy Penguins in that regard. Like they're just trying to get a bunch of touch points that are not like totally crypto native. And he was designing the game, which legitimately looks cool. Like it's an auto battler, which is pretty fun, and it looks good quality. Like they're showing off some sneak peeks of it and stuff. He had mentioned that he was building all of the economy and game around being just like Web 2 focused, and then like not really leaning into crypto stuff because it was just not gonna. He didn't want to like burden himself or the project with like having like tokenomics that are like real money and shit. But then he wrote a post, I think it was like last week, maybe earlier this week, which is like, yeah, like you know what? If you lean into it pretty good, like people want that shit. We're gonna give them that shit, and we think it's actually the way you can like these games can achieve escape velocity. So he's like, we're gonna lean into it. We'd overhaul a lot of stuff. I see clearly now. So little excitement that's gonna be crypto forward gaming.
I like it. Yeah, that's good context there. Also intrigued by, I think there's going to be a bunch of launches. Just a separate point about the general market. I made this point a while ago that I thought that any narrative that was hot or any team doing specifically well during the summer, I think, the door is closing, if not closed, on the straight line of free corridor for you to just walk through and do whatever you want and like ride the wave. Because as I said earlier, or a few weeks ago, people are waiting. Like we know this from a partnerships perspective for the show. We know this from just a general sense of the market. Like there was clearly a lull over the summer. People are making plans for September onwards. So there's going to be a tidal wave of things that are ready to come to the market in September, October, November, December. And so, that narrative that you're holding on to from the summer, maybe it survives. But remember, things move fast and there could even be new things coming. So just keep that in mind as you're assessing things. Let's get to the rest of the roundup to get you up to speed. A few very interesting things here. American Bitcoin miner backed by the Trump family announced IPO plans in September. I saw a funny comment there to say, like, guys, if the Republicans don't win the next election, we're going to get so hammered. The industry is going to get so hammered for the amount of enrichment that the Trumps will have enjoyed by participating in this industry so much. It's going to be pretty important for the people in charge to stay in charge, because I think there'll be a lot of annoyance if not. Rabby and Rainbow wallets tease Hyperliquid perps integration. That's pretty huge. Remember, we had Phantom announcing a Hyperliquid integration and making millions of dollars off the back of it. You can now trade from the wallet directly, leveraging Hyperliquid's liquidity. Rabby and Rainbow and very much teased that yesterday. I think Rainbow shipped it, Rabby teased it, and then MetaMask even commented underneath.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, MetaMask replied
Jesus.
with like the eyes emoji underneath.
Yeah.
So potentially MetaMask just kind of falling in line there as well.
I initially thought it was just better support because like the Rabby integration right now with Hyperliquid is still kind of where like it shows up as like everything's a DeFi protocol. Like you can see your positions, but it's not just like a pure tap into what's just like assets you have over there, Hypercore, Hyper EVM, whatever. So I wasn't sure if that's what that was, but yeah, Rainbow came in over the top. Or like, bro, this is peak UX. It showed their thing. So yeah, it's just like I hate being the bear. Like I'm the bear person here, but like, and just like broadly in our industry, there's just like, this is kind of showing like all the, like we may have over indexed on the, like how decentralized all this shit has to be. And that's not great for the core ethos of everyone, but like Hyperliquid's making money. it's making money because it made decisions that were a little more centralized than the maximally valuable, or not maximally valuable, maximally decentralized Bitcoin proof of work, Ethereum decentralized, whatever. And because it's making a shit ton of money, because it's a good user experience, and it's a good user experience because it's not as decentralized, like all of these things are adopting it because you know what? It's like, you know what? Fuck it. We don't need, maybe we don't need it all. We don't know how much it's worth. Like, sure, you could post the GDP on Ethereum because like it's, you know, incredibly neutral, censorship resistant, live 100% of the time. But like, if you want to talk about money, if you want to make money, if you want to trade money, if you want to like be effective and have a good user experience, like fuck it. Like we don't go where the money is, and the money is where convenience is, and convenience is where performance is, and performance is where centralization is. And then you're just like getting back towards, and like this isn't an indictment of Hyperliquid. I'm building MEGETH. MEGETH is leaning into this exact same vertical. That's why I joined over a year ago, because I saw this is where the market was going. Is that like I think we have over indexed on some of this shit. And I think it's not as valuable as everyone wants to believe. And I think, like, just like relative to each other, I think there's a mispricing right now between like what a Hyperliquid offers and like what and a Solana, Ethereum, like some of these other chains offer, because they're maximally decentralized. Because it's all nebulous, you can't quantify it. And I think we're just going to continue to see the market go towards convenience, and because like this is where market forces take you, right? It's the same thing that I talk about with the moneyness shit, where it's like these wallets are doing this because it makes the wallets money, right? That's why they're doing it. That's what they want. It's a good business decision, and the good business decision is not necessarily the best like ethos decision, where it's like, oh, it doesn't uphold our values and doesn't do it. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter because it's convenient and it makes money. And like they will continue to make decisions in the name of convenience and user onboarding that erodes some of the core principles of this space and some of the core values of this space, or the things that you think drive value to your tokens, which is like the moneyness thing that everyone keeps talking about that is like super valuable. We're like, oh, I denominate my assets in ETH because like that's the money, that's money to me, and like that's worth something. I'm like, well, guess what? All these wallets are going to start denominating all this shit in dollars because everyone else in the world understands dollars, and it's convenient for them, and it's convenient for users, and it's going to continue to grow stuff, and it's going to continue to go down this path because duh. I don't know, man. Like I don't know why this got me fired up, but like that, bro, I'm telling you, man, this is where this shit is going. Yeah,
I think that's where at the point where that's kind of been proved out over time with the Hyperliquid success. I think independent of that, the value of decentralization is kind of only felt when it's needed, right? Like when centralization goes wrong, then everyone wishes that everything was more decentralized. When centralization is going well, you wonder why you'd ever need it. So it's like censorship resistance, I think, is an important issue of our time, both
and everyone uses
in
it
the real world and on the blockchain. But,
and all of the arguments for that shit is selfish. Typically, like it's the exact same thing. You just saw the big liquidations on XPL or whatever the token is for Plasma on Hyperliquid, right? And there were two camps in there. One was the people who got liquidated because there was a short squeeze, because there was believed to be manipulation by a whale that was just able to move the price up, right? Like whether that was considered manipulation and it diverted from like other perps protocols or other exchanges or not. The people that lost money said, this is the wrong way you should do this, right? The person that made money said, like, look, game's game. Like, no crying in the casino. The people that lost money said, no, you should roll it back and you should do the thing. Like they're asking for someone to step in, where the other person is just game is game. Like this is the rules, like let it play out. Code is law situation. So it's like everyone who ends up on the better side of it is the one that argues for the thing, whether that's decentralization or censorship resistance or centralization. Like everyone's just like interested in their own shit.
Of course. I think that's
because we're humans.
That is part of it for sure. Yeah. We'll see how it goes, but I mean, I certainly think Hyperliquid it just seems like everyone's giving up and just integrate Hyperliquid at the moment on the wallet side. So
why'd you say giving up?
Well, as in they don't think they need to build their own. I guess it's just like a smart partnership. And that's the easiest lift, I guess, at the moment. Solana DeFi. A few other bits of news before we get to the headlines today. Solana DeFi TVL hits all-time highs from January at almost about 12 bill. That was a Sol's are obviously up as well, so maybe that plays into that statistic. 21 shares files for a Say ETF, so lots of ETFs going around now. As Brett just mentioned, Plasma's XPL trades. This went to $1 on Hyperliquid pre-market. That's a $10 billion FTV.
I thought about
higher than
shorting it,
the
but
other
I know you
pre-markets,
should never, like, shorting is almost always a bad idea. But I'm thinking about it because, like, is it large enough to where I can't get fucking got by these same whales? Probably not. But like, bro, 10 Bs for a pre-market token, like that's a third of what Tron is doing, and Tron has been crushing for the last like 3 years, right? Like, yeah, like that. It's absurd to value them at 10 billion.
Tether chain.
Yeah.
That's the thinking, right?
Yeah.
And to be fair, I do think MLM, the account which is really, really good for
it's tracking all this. Yeah.
It's tracking it. I'll just get the explanation up while we go to Funky to hear an additional contribution. Funky, welcome to the stage, my man. Did you have something to add on XPL?
Well, just the shorting thing that Brett was talking about. I don't know if you saw, because I tagged it under one of the snapshots you did, B, but did you see that fund that brought up the issue with why the price didn't move? Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And now I do think that Hyperliquid really does need to have those external Oracle price feeds, so that way it does stay with whatever the true market price is and can't be manipulated. So hopefully they make an announcement and get that integrated. Then you can short your heart out, Brett.
Yeah, that was, so just to expand on what Funky's talking about, there was a fund that said they run a delta neutral strategy, where they were shorting on Hyperliquid, and they bought spot on like Bybit and a few other places. And yeah, because of Oracle, the Oracle that was used by Hyperliquid was able to diverge to like $1.60 or whatever it was, whenever the price on every other exchange was 60 cents. It, like, they got fucked up. They had no ability to add collateral in the amount of time that it actually took place. So like, he's saying, and they were saying, like, that you should have feeds from all of these sources, which is typically how this behaves, right? Like, you as an exchange will get like a feed from Redstone, a feed from Chainlink, a feed from Binance, a feed from Bybit, like all of these Oracle prices. And sometimes you'll like mix those together or weight them, and then that is the true price you reflect on your exchange. And Hyperliquid just has the one Oracle, and it's like, once that deviated because of what this whale was doing, it ran, like, because it was just their exchange only. So it's isolated, and you can have incidents like this where it diverges from like the global market price, which they deemed as unfair.
Interesting context. And I think they'd made some adjustments to the platform in the aftermath. However, it's one of these things. It's like, it's in a liquid pre-market. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect. They make that note as well. Just for a little bit of further context, so you know roughly what's going on. And again, this is like using someone else's research. They've been pretty good, up to date. This is the MLM account saying, as you may have seen, XPL on Hyperliquid has been consistently trading at a 20 to 30% premium. This is because one person, Techno Revenant, is still long and holding massive long positions in XPL. He's been bridging USDC from his other wallets, which were previously auto deleveraged, into multiple new wallets. Currently, he is long about $31 million, which represents 35.5% of the total open interest on Hyperliquid. So one person is responsible for 35.5% of the total open interest on Hyperliquid at the moment, which is in total 87.5 mil. So he also still holds 26.5 mil on Hyperliquid that isn't being utilized, which I guess on some level, like, if you want to short this and you know that the guy who's responsible for 35% of the open interest being long still has another 25 mil and might just go long more, like, this is what I said on the show 3 or 4 days ago, whenever this started happening. It's like, you can't short this now. Like, you can't short this. You're too scared. You cannot short it, so that it can only go up, at least on the pre-market.
Yep.
Like, there are just obviously factors going on here that, like, you're just not in control of, and you don't know what's going on. So why would you short this? Even if, I mean, I think what you said is fair, Brett. Like, 10
you can acknowledge the price is overpriced, but acknowledge that the market structure is disadvantaged, and it is not a wise decision to partake.
And you can even say, like, look, I think this is a great team. I think this is a great protocol, but I think it's overpriced. But like, look, what are you going to do? You're going to, I mean, you'd have to assess your risk reward, but
and this is a microcosm of like what price, like what the fuck is price? Like there is no true price of anything, right? The true price is the market price, and the market is as big as the market allows itself to be, right? So like you have the global price of something, you have the micro price of something. The price of cigarettes in China could be more expensive than the price of cigarettes in America because that small market is isolated and the people in that area are willing to pay more for it, straight up, right? And like that's exactly what this is. So you can say, well, that's unfair. The people of China should have cheaper cigarettes because we think the true global market price for them is actually cheaper over in America and it should be expanded. Like, no, it doesn't fucking matter because like the people over there are willing to pay more. And that's exactly what you're seeing here. Because the global market price of this XPL, even though we like use whatever metrics we want to do or things to say that it's actually, oh, it should be cheaper. Doesn't matter. The price is whatever people are willing to pay in that area. And then in this area, in his little pool pond here on Hyperliquid, the price is whatever this guy says it is. Because like he's the one, he's the one with the stick.
Exactly. So yeah, you could decide if you want to argue with that or not, but that's at least know that that's part of the game. I think that's the point. And look, just as an additional final point, that's someone else's research. They seem pretty thorough and good with it. We have not corroborated that. We do not know. Excellent research. Just add it into your factors for looking at things, but do not even take that as guaranteed truth either, because a lot of moving factors here. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. Just a couple of final things before we get to the main headlines today. We've got Kalshi creating crypto native Solana prediction markets on Solana. Things like Sol all-time high, Sol DAT, Sol ETH ratio. Stablecoin platform M0 raised $40 million in Series B round. And finally, on the NFT side, Cyberkong's revealed 2% of the supply of Kong will go to OpenSea users who have over $10,000 in NFT trading volume since 2023. That might be some of you. So hopefully you might get a little slice of Kong there. Look, that's the roundup for today. We've taken a bit of a detour there, going into some of the interesting bits. So I think it's probably fine to say, Brad, let's go straight into the headlines today.
Yeah.
And get into it. So the first headline today is that the S&P 500 hits all-time high past 6,500 for the first time in history, while crypto majors are down. I think at least one of the reasons being given, or something that is on people's minds, is the PCE inflation data coming out later today. PCE stands for personal consumption expenditures. It is a key measure of consumer spending in the US economy. So, we had the economic data not long ago, which really spooked people. Also, when it came out a little bit high, and that caused a bit of a sell-off because mainly high inflation makes people think, well, we can't cut rates, and rate cuts is entirely the thing that people are either looking for asset prices to move higher. That's what's the expectation of rate cuts is what has been pushing asset prices a lot higher, thinking that they're coming. Now, again, I think this is probably a little bit of a, does it come next week, or does it come in 2 weeks, or does it come in 4 weeks or 6 months? Like I think with some confidence, you can say we're moving into an easing cycle at some point in time. Getting really caught up in the weeds of like, okay, is it going to be in September? Is it going to be in September? Is it going to be in September? I don't find to be entirely helpful. And I feel like if the market does continue to get spooked by it not being in September, then I feel like you're probably in a decent position to buy some of that blood, as we've been speaking about in general as well. But some other interesting data points. So while that might be the case, so crypto's down, S&P's up, or at least at all-time high. I wanted to bring up gold as well, because I thought gold is in an interesting position. Gold's at 3.4K, back very much to like, is this literally the all-time high, or is it close to it? I think, more or less, gold went to I can't quite see the top tick here. Very much on the cusp of all-time high, if not that either. I remember when we were going through some of the issues beforehand, Bitcoin behaved like really resiliently, all things considered, compared with other asset classes when we were going through the Liberation Day fiasco, and when things were going down a bit. It seems to not be as resilient at the moment. I actually think that's in part to a little bit of this inflows to all the other crypto. Like people have got really switched onto crypto, where it seems like there's an increased amount of interest, and then people are like going down the risk a little bit, piling into ETH. A lot of excitement about Sol as well at the moment. So I think Bitcoin dominance has just taken a little bit of a hit from that perspective, but still at around 109, 110, not bad at all. And then, you've had some other commentary here from prominent people. D-Farmer, great trader on the timeline, saying, sticking to the plan, playing out exactly as expected so far, starting a 12-hour TWAP into tomorrow's numbers, with the idea being that there will be a pullback into the inflation data, as if people just are concerned about it in general. So I think that's a concern that people have. I think we kind of shook it off just a few days ago as well. So I'm not super concerned about that. I'm trying to think of any other interesting points here. I think the final one was this tweet that Raoul Pal put out yesterday. Raoul Pal, for people who don't know, very prominent investor in the space, founder and CEO at Real Vision, produces some good content, has some excellent charts, a great chart producer, him and his team. And I think what the variety of charts that he shared yesterday show is, in his opinion, in their opinion, that most things are kind of ready to go up. Maybe the thing that is most the chart that probably shows it best is this one here, which is the one that people are sharing all the time about global M2 supply. How Bitcoin basically tracks M2. As global liquidity increases, Bitcoin will increase too. And just over the last few days, it feels like it's lagged. In the last week or so, I saw Mando tweet about this the other day as well, saying, "Look, it looks like it's lagging. Probably a buying opportunity." If you believe that this is the trend that's going to continue, I think right now is an opportunity where Bitcoin has lagged, and therefore there's like a gap to make up. If you think that is the trend to believe in, I have no reason to not believe in the trend. I'm in that kind of camp. I think we are broadly tracking it, and therefore it probably is a bit of a gap to make up. I said I bought some Bitcoin a little bit higher from here not long ago, and I think if I want to buy a bit more, I'll probably see if it goes any lower, and maybe consider that. But 100 or 110, it can't be. I don't see that being a big difference in the long run. I know English in the comments is calling for 95. I do wonder whether it needs to be a bit more painful for people, because, as I'm talking about it, when you say 100 or 110, I'm saying it very relaxed, right? When you start talking about 95, 90, you start to get a little bit more anxious. So I wonder whether the market's going to make people a little bit more anxious first, and to test people. But let's see. I'm not overly concerned in general at the moment, especially with some of the other headlines that we've got to get into in a bit, which are just like a barrage of bullish things for crypto. So we'll talk about those things in a second. I'm going to pause there, Brad, just for your general response. I know you're not a trader as such, but like general thoughts, general response to the general conversation.
Yeah, I think like for me, it's always just acknowledging the different levels of like trying to step up to macro and the ability that I have to ingest it and like trust other people to take in stuff, to reflect on the stuff that I was saying earlier. Right? I was like, okay, like are the ETFs and not the ETFs, but the DATs like exhausted? Like who's the next buyer? Who's whatever? And looking at some of this other stuff and just reminding myself that, yeah, man, that like the global market is about to maybe see some rate cuts and maybe like turn on the money printer a little bit. Like, so like are all of my concerns for like this short term 1 week, 2 week thing, that's our month thing, whatever, with the DATs, like, is that me trying to pick up pennies in front of a steamroller or whatever? That is like just the global market kind of becoming unhinged and ready to just like start bidding up risk on assets, which, yeah, maybe. So it's just like, it's good context for me. It's a data point that like, if these other people that are traditionally seeing the macro stuff. And so I'm listening to a lot of these podcasts of just like people that watch this. If they are starting to see stuff and getting confidence that like, you know what, man, think like we're starting to open up a little bit, and I say, okay, gives me confidence to hold on a little tighter for a little longer.
One, appreciate the thoughts. One contrarian position, which I think you got to have the variety of probabilistic things that could happen in your mind. I think, or at least I like to at least think the alternative scenario through. Rune Lord had made this good point in the comments saying BTC topped before SPX in 2021. So, okay, the idea that you know, crypto is leading in that way rather than lagging. And so what like would it be entirely wild to you to see us go much lower here? Because and if it did, what would be the factors causing it? We've been routinely talking about DATs as something which are, you know, a potential cataclysmic problematic thing for the industry at large, because it's now going across a bunch of variety of assets too. And so I do think just got to keep an eye on them and monitor that. I think I think that's important. So I'm open to considering that. I don't think it's the thing I'm putting my bet on, but I'm always open to consider the probabilistic things that could happen. So that's that on that side. We had some pretty big news yesterday as well. Brad, I'm conscious we only got like 10 minutes left. We've got to do these two segments, and we've got to do the YEET giveaway today to our lucky winner who we're going to pick live on the show as well. So stay tuned for that. We've got the CFTC announcing that they'll soon issue an advisory clarifying the foreign board. Okay, this is a long way to say that non-US exchanges are going to get a clear path to let Americans trade on their platforms. I think that is really, really significant. Udi had this to say. He said, "This is amazing, best news I've heard in crypto ever, if true." It's just gonna let people trade freely, like give people access, give people the ability to trade wherever they want to trade, and the biggest institutions, the best institutions, like let people participate in this market. Moon had this to say, literally just everything is going to quadrillions, because you know you've had the whole issue last cycle where a lot of these firms that were providing services, at least to Americans and maybe even other people, were like had to go offshore. They were doing odd things, not being compliant, and that caused all kinds of loss. Think about the amount of loss that's taken place over the years because of uncompliant or maybe even illegal activity taking place with these exchanges that are not doing things properly. So I think this is definitely seen as like a very significant step towards finding a proper regulated path for all people to participate in crypto in a way that is not, you know, that doesn't make you have to VPN here and go around some other thing here. And, you know, and there were a few jokes. Sorry, go on, Brad.
Yeah, like watch this, do this stuff, and then I'll finish up.
Yeah. So the only other thing I was going to say is there was a few jokes being like, "Oh, this is bad for Hyperliquid," and because, you know, if you can get access to Binance, why do you need Hyperliquid? I guess is the argument, because I think that's really overblown. It's the same way we spoke like 4 weeks ago about, oh, Coinbase are launching perps. Is this going to kill Hyperliquid? Absolutely not. It is not going to kill Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid is Hyperliquid. People use it because they really, really like it. In fact, they use it probably a little bit in part because it's decentralized as well. You don't need to KYC. That's at least part of it. They've got humongous incentives still coming. They've got all of this supply of Hyperliquid to potentially drop down onto its users at some point in the future. You're not going to switch to a properly formalized KYC entity if you don't have to. So
nothing to add. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, yeah, like that having that kind of claim doesn't hold up to me. For all the reasons you called out, and like I would throw on top, you said decentralization, I would call just like general composability, right? Like having full control of your assets and being 1 or 2 clicks away from taking that, not having to go through someone approving me to like withdraw my funds to go over to whatever base chain, whatever,
exactly.
like or hyper EVM, even like the other side of Hyperliquid, right? You want to have stuff in proximity to that. So not scared.
Indeed. So, and in addition, as we mentioned, you've got all these apps like integrating Hyperliquid. Like Hyperliquid is going to be just fine. You've got Rabby, you've got Rainbow, and then here's them. I know it wasn't the MetaMask tweet here, Brad, but I was going to show you that. Okay, a couple minutes more on the final headline, Brad, which is about the US putting stuff on chain. And then, as I mentioned, guys, we have our YEET giveaway today for the people on our Modern Market YEETer board. We'll share that in a moment, and we'll share how that works. If you're interested, we'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Brett, final headline first.
This one is U.S. Department of Commerce publishes Q2 GDP on BTC, ETH, Sol, Tron, Stellar, Avalanche, Arbitrum, Polygon, and Optimism via Pith and Chainlink partnership. So yeah, the tweet you're looking at here is from Matthew Seigel, who, fun note, has me blocked. He's one of the few accounts that has me blocked, and he has me blocked because I made fun of Van Eck for calling Hyperliquid an L3. I stand by that. They're still ridiculous for having said that. And I've often found that Matthew Seigel here doesn't actually know what he's talking about when it comes to blockchain tech. So I pushed back on him a little too hard, apparently, and he blocked me. So that's fun. But anyway, like, so the thing of note here is that like the context that like putting GDP on chain. So they literally did not do that. What they did was they took this report, which is the GDP data, they hashed it, which means just like use SHA-256, I think is what they used, to actually like turn it into a string of text so that you can say, if you take this literal document and you convert it to this literal string of text, and if you do that 100,000 times, 100,000 times, it'll come to the exact same string because it has to have the exact same like byte by byte content. And then they put that hash on chain. So like if you go to the smart contract on some of these platforms, or like I'm sure they inscribed it on Bitcoin, and you look at it, you're going to get literally a string of numbers. And then you're going to go, what is this? You can't reverse it. You can't like, I can't take that and create a PDF out of it. It's just that like now, if I have both of these items, I can verify, because like some of those blockchains that they put it on, right, cannot be reversed without consensus and like all like the group of validators agreeing on it. I can now verify that if I have this document and this hash, and I convert this document to a hash and it matches the thing that's on chain that cannot change the verifiability of it, then I can say, okay, this is 100% the thing. This is without a doubt the thing, right? But like, yeah, it is not on the chain. The verification of the document itself is on chain. Notable, it's actually probably the better usage of blockchain. So like, I'll actually give them credit for that. Like, this is in the age of AI, like this type of thing is the thing that we are going to see more and more of, to like validate that something is the true representation of the thing.
Truth seeking.
Yes. So whether it is this, where you like take the hash of the document and you do that, or if there's like a cryptographic signature that you like place on a video or an image or whatever, and then that is like that signature's in the actual thing, and then that's verified or stored on the blockchain. Like, this is a better use case of it, because blockchains are actually really shitty at storing data, right? That's the hard thing. Like, compute is the thing that we're all racing to allow for on chain.
Indeed. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like it, if I'm being honest. Like,
it's the right usage of the tech. So like, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Even to some extent.
I made fun of it yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I kind of like it. And even if in part it's like, it's kind of just symbolic.
Yeah.
You know, you can't download the PDF, as you said. It's not like literally there. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I think it's pretty cool.
It's better than not doing it. I'll say that. Yeah. Like, and in the way that they did it, they could have been ridiculous and like literally uploaded it to like a Bitcoin ordinal, which is like not the same. And it would have been the same too. Like, you do base 64. Yeah. Like if they did base 64 and they uploaded that, then the literal document would have been on chain. Like, that's just a way to encode actual documents. That's how you mostly transfer shit in other industries. But that's like a very large string of text, right? It'd be huge file, and like not all blockchains can actually store that, and you're kind of, again, not using it properly in that way. Indeed.
Okay, well, that is an interesting development, and they've, to be fair to them, moved pretty fast. So I find that pretty cool. Guys, as I said, we're drawing towards the close today. That's all the headlines, but we said we've got our YEET giveaway to give away today. The way it works, just as reminders, we'll pick one person from our board, our YEETer board. This is our YEETer board. We're going to share that on screen for you now. These are all the people who participated over the last 7 days. You can see there's another 15 hours for this week, and then it's going to reset. So if you want to participate in next week's, you wait until the 15 hours are over, and then you do some volume. You place a few bets in next week's bracket. That'll last for around 7 days again. We'll do another giveaway on Friday. That will be the routine. So as you can see, we had 18 people eligible this week, all variety of just a few dollars being placed, up to almost $70,000 of volume being placed. Just to explain how we did it, because we did it slightly differently last time, we're going to do $250 in cash to one of those eligible YEET accounts, and $250 in free spins, which we'll do in a second. We're going to pick a winner, but the way we've done it this time is, instead of just everyone having the same odds, trying to recognize that different people have done different things, we're going to do the following. Everyone who entered gets one entry, and then for every $10,000 of volume you did, you get an extra entry. So for example, if you did more than 10,000, you got 2 entries. If you did more than 20,000, you got 2 entries. Sorry, you got 3 entries. If you did more than 30, you have more as well. So it's kind of like that, but it's capped at 50. So once you go beyond 50, you've just got the amount of additional entries that you've got. So let me just double check that everything is ready. We have the board here. I'm going to share that on screen for people to see. Can you see that, Brad? Can you confirm that we have a spinning wheel with a variety of names here?
Looks great. What I'm gonna do in the future is I'm gonna make us an actual branded one so that it's cuter.
It's going to be great. Brad always takes the work that I do and makes it look better, because I'm abysmal at that kind of thing, which we appreciate. So we're going to pick the winner, and then we're going to do the free spins for this person. The free spins is going to be 5 bets on Limbo of $50 on Limbo. So here we go. First and only spin to pick the winner. Who do you think, Brad? What color? What color are you
Oscar.
getting? No
Ollie.
way. Brad.
Did he win previously?
Do you know how much volume Ollie did? Ollie had 1 entry.
No.
Do you know how much volume Ollie did?
He's at the bottom. No.
$1.28. The chances of Ollie winning was very low. The one thing I would say, though, I do need to know that Ollie is listening. I'm not familiar with Ollie, so I'm going to spin. We're going to do the spins. Ollie is the winner, but just in case we can't identify Ollie, because we need to be able to do that, we're going to do one more spin. If we can't identify them, if they're not in the Telegram, just going to know who this is going to go to instead. So we're going to remove Ollie. We're going to spin one more time to make sure we have someone who
it's going to be a green. I'll call green.
Got Cows
nice.
Trader. Cows Trader. If we cannot identify Ollie, then it will be Cows Trader. So we've gone right from the bottom to the top. Cows is at the top. Ollie is at the bottom. Let's see if we can find them. But right, so we've got, so that's going to be $250 in free cash. That's what you're guaranteed. And then we're doing 5 spins of $50 each. So $250 worth of free spins on a 2x multiple. Going to put 50 in here. We're going to times it by 2. So spin number 1, Brad. How many wins are we going to get out of 5?
2.
I'm going to say 3. I want there to be a majority. Let's see. 1 win. 1 loss. 2 wins. Brad is correct so far. 1 loss. So two wins, 2 losses. Go on. Let's see the green. Let's see the green. There we go.
Hey.
3 wins. So that will be 50 times 3, an extra 150 on top of the 250. So no, sorry, there'll be an extra 300 on top of the 250 because it's
550.
550 to Ollie, if we can identify them. So Ollie, if you're there, You got to send us a message, get you in Telegram, so we can get that sent over to you. Otherwise, it's Kaus, who we know in Telegram. So guys, if you want to participate in the future, that's $550 we're sending to one of those two later today. If you want to participate, we shared the ref link in our in the Twitter comments, so you can participate by signing up through there and placing bets in a responsible way that you deem appropriate over the next 7 days. So guys, hope that was enjoyable. Found that pretty fun. Good show, Brad. That's the final one for the week. Any closing thoughts as you head into the weekend?
No, man, it's been fun. Back to regularly scheduled programming next week.
Back to the regular schedule. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. As always, reminder, we do this every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, live on X Video, and YouTube. And you can catch us on Apple and Spotify podcast too. Thank you for Brad for co-hosting. Thank you to Funky and Oxy for jumping up top. Thank you for everyone commenting, providing us all the feedback and live reception. And thank you for joining us in the audience as always. We hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and we will see you again on the other side on Monday. Take care. See you then. Bye-bye.